Hi guys, Mav here and welcome back to my channel. So today I will be teaching you how to gift wrap like a pro. And I'll be showing you 8 ways on how to do that with and without boxes. Alright, especially for those irregular shaped gifts that you'd like to wrap. And don't you worry, I know this is a long looking video, but I will be putting in timestamps down below in the description box so you can check it out and jump in to the video that you'd like to see right away. Now, if you're ready to do some gift wrapping, let's get on to it. Alright, so we'll be starting off with the most basic. And if you will be able to do this right, then you will be able to do everything right for the next steps. Okay? Now get your wrapping paper. Okay, fold the wrapper to the approximate size of the box that you're going to be wrapping. This is just a plain gift wrapping technique, the most basic, okay? Now you can get your other boxes, your tape, or your scissors to hold down the wrapper. And make sure that the sides are actually on top, right on top of each other equally. That's how you can make sure that your line is straight, okay? Now, we will start cutting to the size of the box that we'll be wrapping. Take note of the sides. And once you're good with that, just get your scissors and clean the folds. Pressing the scissors onto the wrapper. Now, you can also use your scissors with this, but it's easier to use your cutter. And just drag that all the way to the end. Okay, now we have our size right here. Just using that to hold down the wrapper. And if you want, you can measure it like this. As long as you've got all the sides covered, you're all good. Now fold that again. And if you'd like to put an allowance, don't worry, you can definitely do that anytime because we can cut it out or just fold it in later on. Now we'll set this aside. And just get this tiny small of wrapper, and we'll be taping it down, okay? Now fold that right around the center. It doesn't have to be perfectly equal, okay? Take your tape it down, and make sure you press that in real good. I always use my scissors to do this. Now fold it overlapping on the other side. Tape it down right here. Because we'll be cutting that flap later on. And don't throw that away, we can still use that later on for name tags. So you wouldn't need to, you know, buy name tags for these. You can also use your double-sided tape so it'll have a cleaner look on the outside. Pressing that in with your scissors because it'll be easier to take that off if you press that in real good. Now, off to the sides. Folding our corners first pressing on the triangles on the corners, and then fold in or cut it if you'd like to. You can do either way. Just fold it in and tape it down. And of course, if the tape is too big, you can always just cut it in the middle. Now with this flap over here, just make sure you tape both of that together. Press that in. And now it's going to be a lot easier because you already have the other side taped down. If you see that, that's going to be at a 90 degrees, no, 90 degrees, like 45-degree angle. And it should be looking like this, okay? The remaining sides at a 90-degree angle. See that? You can also just, cut it anytime. Just be sure to not, cut too much. Taping it down. And the other side as well. And you're all good. Now we're gonna level up a little. Just the same exact thing as what we did earlier. It's just that this time, there's gonna be one fold on top, right in the center. As long as your sides are covered with a wrapper just like this, you're all good. You can now make sure that everything's gonna be covered and that your wrapper is gonna be enough to cover the whole box. Checking the sides. Pressing it down with the scissors. Same exact thing, okay? Some of these are just, gonna be harder than it looks, but it's gonna be a lot easier as you go, because we're gonna be doing this leveling up.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
From the most basic to the hardest, okay? And this kind of wrapper is actually forgiving, because if you accidentally put a tape on it, you can just strip it out and it's not going to be destroyed. See that? Now this is actually right around the same thing, okay, as we did earlier, but we're not going to be cutting it though. That's the difference. Just fold it and press it. See, earlier we did it like this and then cut it, but now we're not going to be cutting that. We're going to be folding that in and taping it down. You can use your double-sided tape, an invisible tape, or a scotch tape will do. Any kind of tape actually. It's just that with this kind of wrapper you will not be able to use your glue stick. Folding in the outside part. You can do it wide or narrow, it's definitely up to you. And once you press it down, make sure, before you press it down all the way, make sure that it's actually aligned, okay? And see? That's the only difference from what we did earlier. Now make sure to tape this down first, as close to the edge as possible, because you wouldn't want this flapping over. Or if you do not have a double-sided tape, you can use a regular tape, fold it in like this, and you're good. It's pretty much the same thing. Right, now just like what we did with the first box, folding in the corners, the top, and then the bottom. Or you can actually do either way. You can you can fold the top first, and then the sides, and then the bottom. Just like this. See, on this part, we actually did the top first, and the sides are at a 90-degree angle. Taping it down. Folding it to the middle. Cleaning out the edges and pressing it down. Then just tape it up. If you don't want tape showing through and to have a cleaner, you know, look on the wrapping that you did, just use a double-sided tape. Since we have that tape down, again, it's going to be a lot easier on this side. Pressing down the top part first, and then the sides. Still pressing it down. Now, if you'd like to conserve tape, just, you know, be sure to press it real good so it won't be coming out. See? You're all good. Now, more flaps, okay? Multiple folds. Same basic thing as what we did earlier. It's just gonna be different on how we do the folds. Right around the end, okay? And especially if you got a big box like this as well, as long as you got all sides covered, plus a lot more extra later on for the folds, because the number of folds will depend on how many extra or how much extra wrapper you've got left. So we'll not be pulling this all the way through, because right around the middle part it's going to be covered anyway. So just sizing this up. As long as you've got the sides and the top part covered, it's going to be already a whole lot of extras. But if you want to do more, just, you know, cut it right around 5 inches more, 10, it's definitely up to you. Because here we'll be doing, you know, wide folds, around 4 or 5, I think. Just cut that using your cutter. And just in case this edge is gonna be crooked because of how you cut it, you don't have to worry too much, okay? Because again, you can just fold it in and it's already gonna have a cleaner look on it, okay? So just relax and try to enjoy, you know, the gift wrapping part. Because aside from the gift itself, you know, that's the wrapping part is something that the receiver of the gift is gonna appreciate as well. And they'll definitely see the time and effort you've exerted on it. So we're just doing right around 1/3, taping it down right here, pressing it down with the scissors. And then same thing on the other side, right? Just right around 1/3 of it. See if it's equal. And if it's not, just take off the tape and do it again. because you can always have it adjusted, you know, especially with this kind of, you know, kind of metallic or satin wrapper. It's more forgiving than the paper wrapper, because once you tape that in and you rip out the tape, you're gonna be ripping out the paper too. Okay, we'll leave the middle open with no wrapper, because that's gonna be covered with folds later on. Make sure you're pulling that tight. Folding the wrapper while pushing forward the box. Taping the sides as well. And this is actually not necessary, especially the ones on the edges. I just like to do it because it's gonna be easier for me to do the folds later on. Okay, now the folds. You can pinch the sides just like this, because my box is kind of damaged. It's not a perfect box anymore. That's why it looks like this. Now, just fold the sides with your fingers, folding that in, but not pressing it yet. Once you see that it's right around the same size as the first fold, then you can already press that in. So again, just folding that right here. I'm using my thumb to measure it. And it's approximately the same size, so I'm good with that. No one's gonna measure that anyway. Now we're on our last fold. Pressing that forward and back, and pressing to the inside the last fold that we've got. Especially with gift wrapping techniques that has folds like this. I ripped it out. I was pressing too hard, but that's fine. We got a lot of extra wrapper on the sides, and we'll be cutting that later on. So instead of using your fingers, you can also use your scissors or the tape dispenser or the cutter, so you can fold the edges. Now we'll be taping all the flaps, the folds, right down to the box. Second fold, tape that in. It's gonna be the third and last. And since we cannot tape that in from the outside, we'll be using a double-sided tape or fold our Scotch tape. Just like this. Like making a circle out of it. See that? It actually stuck to the wrapper. Just ripped it out and it's still all good. Okay, now we've taped this down and cut it. If there's gonna be excess wrapper in there and you will not be able to fold it in, just cut it. Same thing as what we did earlier. Top first and then the sides, and then pressing it down with our scissor. Still, the bottom fold is at a 90-degree angle. Taping it down and always pressing with the scissors. Fold it in. And see, you're all good. Using a double-sided tape, or again, our Scotch tape, and fold it. You can also do that. I'm gonna be taping this down as close to the edge again as possible, okay? And then on the sides, because it's a big box, so you're really gonna be needing a whole lot more tape in here. And yeah, sometimes just taking off that paper on the double-sided tape is such a struggle. Just press it down one more time. And if you want, for more security, to make sure that will not, open up, you can use your Scotch tape or invincible tape to tape it one more time. And then same thing as what we did earlier, because it has a huge flap and it will not fold down just like this. It has a whole lot more excess, so we'll be cutting it out. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? All of these are going to be folded in anyway. So do not stress yourself too much. Just cut it all the way through. Here we go. Taping it down again. Top first. Pressing down the folds before we tape it in. Use as much tape as you'd like to. Especially the thicker the wrapper is, the more tape you'll be needing to use on it. So see that still at a 90-degree angle. Same thing on the other side. Now, since we're all taped up, just be sure to press down all the folds. And you're all good. You can do it horizontally or vertically, it doesn't really matter, or put a ribbon on it, it's up to you. And right here, I'm just going to be doing a name tag, a name card from the excess gold that we had earlier. Any size will do, it wouldn't really matter. Or if you want to put a note on it, use a bigger one, but since I'm just going to be putting the name in here, it's going to be enough for me. Just putting the name and sticking that in. wherever you want. It has a whole lot of folds, so you can put it wherever you want. Or put that on top and hide it. Just a little. Now you can again use your double-sided tape or scotch tape and just fold it in. Carefully pressing that in, and you're good. Now, if you have an extra wrapper like this, but you know, it's not enough, you can still use it. Don't need to throw that away. The wrappings with folds are gonna be actually very beneficial, especially for those leftover wrappers, just like this. So whatever you can cover, tape it down. Keep that in place. Alright, now we need to have a lot of extra wrappers for the folds, because this is gonna be skinny, a lot of skinny folds, you know. And as long as you got that rectangular part covered, plus extra on the sides, because we'll be folding that on the sides later on, just like this, this is gonna be enough. Folding that in on the sides, marking that. Again, checking it on the sides if it's aligned and straight before we press that in with our scissors. One reason why we're pressing it in is for us to be easier to, you know, cut it with our cutter or an X-Acto knife if you have one. Okay, so first thing is to tape down the wrong side, okay? Before we do that, we'll be folding it in, because this is going to be showing from the outside. And if you're going to be again using a double-sided tape, just be sure to tape that as close to the edge as possible. I'm using a lot of tape in here because on this first one, because we want this to really hold down all the folds together. Almost to the edge, just leaving an allowance, and then now we'll be starting to fold away, okay? Like skinny folds, just like this. You do not have to necessarily measure this with a ruler, just, you know, eyeball it. You can also use your fingers or your fingernails to measure it down. So the flap's gonna be looking like this on the side. We still have a lot of wrapper left, so we can still do a lot of, you know, skinny folds. So we'll just do that all the way through. And now, since we still have a whole lot of excess, we can just cut it out. Now the last fold, we'll be folding that in, just like what we did earlier. Pressing it down as we go. Now to hold all of this down, you need to tape down the last fold first. As close to the edge still. Now, we are going to be taping down one side first, okay? And cutting out the excess wrapper. You can just fold it in like this. And start cutting all the way through to the other side instead of going right around. Now, make sure to tape this down real good, because we'll be twisting all the folds later on, okay? And you wouldn't want this to come off. Cut first, then the side still at a 90-degree angle. Folding in the bottom flap. Alright, now we're done with this one side. And before we tape down the other side, let's cut the excess right around, or just like what we did earlier, just fold it and, you know, cut it all the way through to the other side. Okay, now this is the part that we twist all the folds, going to the opposite side. All our folds are going to the left, right? That's right. So going to the left. So we'll be twisting the folds to the right. Don't press it down too much though, because you wouldn't want this to have folds in it, but you'd want this to have curves. Now once you've twisted all of that, just fold that and tape it down. But before you do, yes, of course, fix all the twists that you did. Now we're on the corners. See that? Still 90 degrees. Fold it in. Pressing it down. In the bottom part. You can fold it in or not. It's up to you. Anyway, if you were able to cut it cleanly, then you can just go ahead and get away with not folding it in. Yay! Alright, Japanese folding technique. This is a lot easier than it looks. Alright, now get your wrapper. It's always better to have excess, just cut it out later on, than to lack wrapper, especially with foldings like this. If you want, you can measure that like this to make sure there's more than enough. Now, the sides will be needing a whole lot of wrapper on the side. Excuse me. It actually fell down. So let me try to show that again. Okay. Like nothing happened. Alright, now the top and bottom should cover right around 1/3 of the way. And the sides should cover the top and the other side. Okay? Checking that alignment still. You can also use your tape dispenser, just like this. If you don't want to use your scissors or your nails or your fingers. Alright, now we have our sides on. See? Top and bottom covering 1/3 of the way. And then the sides covering the top part and almost covering most of the sides. Make a marking right around the middle, but don't press it in too much. Just enough for you to see that fold, okay? Because we will be using that as a guide. Now doing the top part first. Covering right around 1/3 of the way. Tape it right around the middle. Pushing the box towards you and pulling the wrapper away from you to make sure that it's going to be tight. Now, we're going to be folding the sides just like this, okay? Should be, again, at a 90-degree angle. Do not press in the sides first, okay? We're going to deal with this top flap first. 90 degrees. Press it out. And See that? Now we're gonna be doing this on the other side as well. Folding it, 90-degree angle, top flap, fold that in. Okay, now we'll be taping this. Making sure that you have all the folds pressed down. Alright, now we'll be taping one side first. Folding that in right around the middle, the one that we marked earlier. Just like here. Tape it down, covering the left and top flap. Make sure to align that in the middle. Now we'll be doing the other side as well. Folding that in. Make sure to tape that down good. And with this kind of technique, you'd rather use a double-sided tape instead of a Scotch or an invincible tape. Now onto the sides. Pull down up to the bottom, then flip it to the front, ironing out with your scissors the rest of the flap. Still marking that right in the middle. Holding that down with the other side as well. Now we'll be taping that right here on this, diagonal part. And then we'll fold this out, creating a triangle. On the other side, same thing. Make sure we're pressing that good, as well as the top. Fold that outwards. Or you can just, or if you want to, you can just leave it just like this. Tape it down and then do the other side. Do the unwrapped part. And you're all good, okay? Making sure that's equal and right in the middle before we tape it down. Pressing it real tight. Make sure to align that. And then we've got the last flap. Just fold it in, overlapping each other, meeting right in the middle. And with this flap, so it'll be easier for you to do the this last unwrap part, is we're gonna be taping this from the inside. I know you can see what I'm doing right now, but I'll be showing you where to tape it later on in a bit. And there we go. Taped it right here, here, and here. Now, since we've got a lot of excess wrapper, just folding that, and we'll be cutting it. So on this part, we're going to be doing the corners first, I mean the sides. Instead of the top, the sides, then the bottom. Now we're going to be doing the sides, the top, and then the bottom. Make sure to tape it down and cleaning the folds as necessary. Now you can just cut the excess because it'll be too thick to just fold it in. Or if you want to fold it in, just go ahead and do so. Just be sure to tape it real good. Now, as you can see, I'm always pinching the sides and the corners of everything, because with this technique, that makes a huge difference. Taping the top part and then the bottom. Alright, so now we're just gonna make sure that the corners and the sides are all pinched up and pressed down. Make sure to double check that all sides are pinched up, like every side and corner. Then you're all done. Off to our paper bag, the easiest of them all. Just like a plain paper bag. Fold in your wrapper just like this, and then measure out the shirt, jeans, or whatever you're going to be putting in it. Just be sure to have like an inch allowance, an inch or two allowance on the sides. Just a thumb. One thumb. Big, long. Flip that over. Make sure the sides are aligned and straight. Press that with your hands and fingers. And then with the scissors, then use your cutter or your scissors. Alright, now for this part, fold one side first, and then make sure that the top, what do you call this? Top flap overlaps the other, because we'll be taping this all down, all the way through. Top flap, yeah. Like the top overlapping the bottom flap, or either way, as long as it overlaps and you tape it down, it's gonna be all good. Now once you've taped it all down, make sure to measure again whatever you're going to be putting inside. Now it's time to do the bottom part of our paper bag. Make sure that the fold here in the back is right in the middle. Now, the size of whatever you're gonna be folding on this bottom part is the width of what you're gonna be putting inside. And to measure that, it's gonna be like this. Need to adjust that because it's a thick fabric, so we'll be needing to flap it a little more, fold a little more upwards before we press that in. Now be sure that this triangle part's middle center is right in the middle as well of the folds right here. Just like this. It should be aligned from this middle to this middle. Now we'll be flipping this over. Make sure it overlaps. And we'll tape it down. From one side to the other. Because especially if you're going to be putting something heavy in your paper bag, you wouldn't want this bottom part to shut open. Now just press in all the folds and you're gonna be all good. See, it's a whole lot easier than it looks. Now if you're good with this, you can stop right here and just fold it into the back and tape it down, or use a stapler, or use a puncher and then put a ribbon on it, or a, like the plastic thing to make it look like a bag. Now if you'd like to upgrade, your paper bag, we're gonna be doing the sides. This is gonna be your marking. Fold that in or to the back, doesn't really matter. Making a triangle on this corner. Pressing it down while you go. And we're gonna be doing this on the other side as well. Make sure you really press it in. And then the other side as well. The corner, making a triangle, is gonna be your guide. Press that good. Now open it up. Now that's gonna be the what do you call this? This is gonna be how wide your paper bag is. Just cutting the excess on top. Keeping that because again we'll be able to use that as a name tag later on. Now stick your hand inside, then fold it in, fold it out. See that? Now can you see the idea of where we're going right here? Like we're making like a legit paper bag. Doing that on the other side as well. Folding that out. Folding the middle in and the sides out. This is gonna be really helpful, especially for those, gifts with really irregular sizes. Or shirts, sweatshirts or clothes that you wouldn't want to put in a box. Now just stick your gift in and you're all good. Stapler this, puncher, put a ribbon, or just fold it back and tape it down. Then you're all good. Now it looks like a lunchbox. And once you've taped it on, you're all good. And of course, we're going to be upgrading this still, okay? With a fold like this, or a polo like this. Pretty much the same exact steps. Doing the sides is always optional. One to 2 inch extra on the side still. Mark that. Put that over. Check the sides. Straighten it up. Press it down with your scissors. And cut it. Right, the main difference here is that we're going to be doing the design on the front first before taping the back, okay? So right now we're going to find that center. We're folding it in two, and then pressing down on how wide you want your top flap, your top fold going to be. Then do that on the other side as well. So press it down. And then we'll be doing a fold, okay? Just a tiny fold. As tiny as you can get. The only important thing here is you can just, make a flap out of it. Doing one side, then the other side. Because this is going to be the center of our paper bag in front. Now flip that over and tape it down. Now you can do one side first and then the other, or you can just cover both with one tape. Just like this. Still, do not forget to press it down with your scissors to make sure it really sticks, because some tapes are just, not that good, I would say. Now, we're gonna be doing the back, okay? Just again, as long as it overlaps each other, you don't need to do as much flap. See that? Just as long as it overlaps, you're all good. Now just tape it down all the way through from one side to the other. Alright, we'll now be doing the bottom, and still same measurement as we did earlier. The width of whatever you're going to be putting in inside is how thick it's going to be. So just adjust that if needed before you press that in. See, still we're going to be making this triangle, aligning this triangle's middle, this middle to this middle, okay? Doing that on the other side as well. Just a little over the center, just a tiny bit, because again, we'll just be needing this to overlap with each other. That down. Now we'll be taping this up from one side to the other, again securing your bottom. Putting an extra tape on the diagonals. Alright, now this is gonna be our top part, I mean our front part, okay? Measure your, whatever you're gonna be putting inside. Leave an allowance. Press that down. Like an inch or two allowance. And then we'll be folding this to the back. If you can fold it 3 or 4 times, that's good. Press it down with your scissors again. Now we'll be cutting it, okay? About 3/4 of the way, a little more than halfway through to the center. Just do not cut the middle flaps that we did, okay? Now put in your gift inside. Flip it around. And then we'll be folding this backwards and taping it down. Same thing as on the other side. If you need to cut a little more for that to be equal on the other side, just go ahead and do so. Tape it down. And this top part, we'll be folding this to the center. See? Making a collar out of it. This is the reason why we cut it. Now just put a double-sided tape on both sides of the collar. Just like this. Take that off. Then fold it to the middle at the same time. So you know it's going to be at the center. Yay! And there you have it. We're all good. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate that. And if you did like the video, enjoyed it, or at least learned something from it, please do not forget to hit on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on your notification bell so you will be the first to know the moment I upload a new video. And if you have any comments, questions on what we did, or suggestions on what videos you want me to do next, please feel free to put them all down below or hit me up on Instagram, and it's me, Mav. You now have a good one. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.